England lost to Italy in the finals of the Euro 2020 tournament. As is traditional, they lost on penalties. But instead of taking this defeat with good grace, the entire country appears to have had a fit of apoplectic rage and is out for blood. I'm not surprised that this was a disappointment for so many. England had scored a string of victories leading up to the finals, and naturally this had raised temperatures to boiling point. Expectations were high, not just for football fans, but also for what seems to be the entire left-wing political class. Those types who are obsessed with race, diversity and inclusion, a subject about which they apparently cannot just shut up. We were subjected to a myriad of headlines highlighting the diversity of the team, letting us know that the diverse England football team was winning fans, or that the diverse Euro squad was an example of the benefits of immigration, or a celebration of diversity in immigration, and of course, that diversity is our strength. Or we got outright statements from politicians like London Mayor Sadiq Khan tweeting that the England team would not exist without immigration, and stating that we celebrate our diversity, or Labour leader Keir Starmer saying that the team's strength is its diversity, and the players' determination to stand up for what is right. Add to this the numerous viral tweets bragging about the racial makeup of the team. What are we supposed to make of this? What is our framing here? We will talk specifically about the race of the players. We will hear specifically that the racial makeup of the team is our strength, and specifically it's implied that it is the non-white members of the team that provide the strength. Moreover, it seems that the team's strength is drawn directly from the race of the diverse members. Indeed, diverse seems to speak only to their racial background. This would imply that there is some particular power that emanates from the diverse races that is absent in the non-diverse races. More importantly, it's all one way. There are only benefits to come from diversity and no drawbacks, and even implying that there are any drawbacks is itself racist. And then England lost. So how does the far left see this? Given how the political activists of the left had created a narrative based on racial framing, that's clearly how the left views this subject. So when the game came down to penalties, all of the England players with white skin managed to score. None of the England players with black skin managed to score. In other words, from within the framing that the political left had presented us with, the diversity had cost England the tournament. And it's at this point that comedian Andrew Lawrence decided to tweet. Lawrence is a veteran comedian known for his quirky style and humour. He is also politically attuned and describes himself as not being aligned with any particular ideology, although he has been very vocal in his criticisms of radical left-wing ideology. And he's been cancelled before.
Who's having an alcoholic beverage tonight? Give me a cheer. Who's not having an alcoholic beverage? Give me a cheer. I think we know who sounded happier.
In 2015, Lawrence got himself deplatformed from the BBC for making a spicy joke about feminists. Presumably he had been following the politics surrounding the England football team as the tournament continued on. Politics, it should be noted, that were first introduced by the radical left in the form of taking the knee to protest systemic racism. One part of those partisan politics were Labour supporters promoting Mark Rashford's charitable work helping to feed impoverished children. And so, upon the result, Andrew Lawrence tweeted out, "Of Mark Rashford, I'd rather he practiced his penalties and the kids had gone hungry." A fairly obvious dark joke that you might expect from a comedian like Andrew Lawrence or Ricky Gervais or any number of their peers. He received pushback against this, and so to that he replied, "All I'm saying is, the white guy scored." Probably not wise in this current era of cancel culture. This generated a lot more pushback, and so he followed that up with, "I can see this has offended a lot of people, and I'm sorry that black guys are bad at penalties." And that's the story of how Andrew Lawrence got cancelled. I think this was clearly done as a joke, but naturally, no one on Twitter took it that way. Soon after, he was hanged, drawn and quartered by the mainstream media, all quote-tweeting the term joke, as if he wasn't making a joke. All of the venues for his upcoming tour cancelled within the next 24 hours, and he was let go by his agent. Twitter account deleted, career over. For merely following through with the logic the left-wing activists had laid out in his joke. We must remember that they are the ones who made the fuss about diversity. They are the ones who made the focus on the race of certain players, and they are the ones who are still obsessing over the race of those players. Andrew Lawrence merely pointed out a fact, and it is true that the 3 black England players missed their shots, whereas all of the white England players scored. There's no redemption for Andrew Lawrence now, is there? Because the left had staked their argument on diversity being our strength. There's a genuine mythos being built around the diverse players of the squad, providing something unique and special. This unique and special quality was supposedly the source of the England squad's power and success until this point, and everyone and their mother was saying that one line, weren't they? It's coming home. And it didn't. This was a test of the logic laid out by diversity ideology. Diversity ideology will win because it is the best way of viewing the world. And it didn't win. Proponents of diversity ideology had staked a great deal of cultural capital on the apparently imminent victory, proving the superiority of their worldview, and it failed. This failure creates a valid inference that, in fact, diversity was not our strength. But nobody's allowed to say that. Because there are racist implications that follow from within the left's own binary racial world view. Andrew Lawrence spoke the unspeakable as a joke, and so he has to face the digital guillotine, as do all of the racists who also followed the left's own line of logic. I don't think we should categorize people by race, and I think this is a great example why. Saying that black multi-millionaire footballers are more oppressed than the white working classes of England is just not true. That is not how life works. Not only is it inaccurate, but it is immoral. There is nothing inherently good or bad about your race. Race consciousness, as the critical theorists put it, places the modern left on the same family tree as Nazism. As I have said a million times, we need to drop race politics to save our own sanity. Just listen to what Mike Graham, talk show radio host, has to say about racists and ask yourself, is this sane?
And I've got a plan. The time has come to not only find these people, not only to prosecute them for their lawless behaviour, but also basically to excommunicate them from our society. So forget about locking them up, forget about throwing away the key, forget about banning them from football stadiums, right? I've got a better idea. Instead, let's make it impossible for them to actually have a life. No bank account, no ability to travel, no passport, no benefits, nothing. Forget kick it out. Let's kick them out. We don't need them. Britain doesn't need them. Adios, amigos. And you don't like it because I've said that in Spanish.
This is legitimately mad, tyrannical, evil, emulating the very worst atrocities of the Nazis and communists in the 20th century. This would put him among the worst human rights abusers in all of history. Is that really Mike Graham at his best? Or is that Mike Graham caught in the middle of a moral panic, driven by left-wing race radicals? We need to stop reacting to tweets and allowing the left to racialize every single issue, because it's dangerous. It's exacerbating the small remaining pockets of racism within society, and that's driving the establishment crazy. It's making them digitally shoot people without anything approaching what could be called justice. Let me be clear. I do not think that England's loss was about race. Gareth Southgate took responsibility for the loss because he had chosen the people to take the penalties. He had chosen people to take decisive penalties by very young men, 23, 21 and 19 respectively. Now, I am no football expert, but I would be inclined to look towards age and experience as the reason that the diverse elements of the team failed to score. Though Southgate himself had said that they had performed best when practicing, perhaps he didn't calculate the pressure that these inexperienced young men would face. Either way, this is why Andrew Lawrence needed to face the guillotine. He decided to play along with the left's racial narrative. They were silly enough to stake the legitimacy of their movement on a football tournament, and reality decided the issue for them. This left the left looking like absurd racists, and Andrew Lawrence was the guy who decided and dared to point that out.